Hey, y'all. Okay, got a question for you. What did you learn about conflict growing up in your family of origin? What did you learn about it? Was it to be avoided? Did you see it? Was it volatile? Want to jump into what you learned in your family of origin today and how it impacts you in showing up to your relationship today?
Welcome to Beyond the Facade podcast. I'm your host, Luke Gordon, and I'm thrilled to have you join me in this space today. What we're going to be doing is diving deep into the trials and triumphs and truths of seeking authenticity. Becoming your true self isn't about a single action or moment. It's a relentless pursuit, a commitment to self that reveals the rich connection and meaning that our life has to offer. So whether this is your first time tuning in or you're a regular listener, know this: what you're building here goes beyond a conversation. You're here to challenge, to change, and to celebrate the incredible journey of becoming your authentic self. Because when you dare to show up fully, the rewards are immeasurable. So welcome to Beyond the Facade. Let's get started.
This conversation comes from one of the groups that I ran. Actually, just barely got done with it. And I just felt like that this really deserves a little bit of room and some space because one of the men brought something up that I think floored me because of how he saw it. So anyway, let me give you a background and we'll jump right into it. All right. So relational repair, rebuilding trust after infidelity, after betrayal. Long, hard journey. And one of my favorite analogies ever, and I don't know if I've shared it on this podcast before, but it's kind of like this. It's like you and your partner are living in a house. And one day, and the house represents your relationship, represents your relationship with the other person, your marriage, whatever it might be. And one day this house comes crashing down and almost kills the both of you. And obviously very upsetting. And the falling down of the house represented the betrayal and the disclosure of the betrayal, the discovery of the betrayal. And what happens is after the house falls down and there's a lot of volatility around that house falling down, the betraying partner starts saying to that partner, I'm going to go ahead and build us a new house. I know how the old house fell down. Trust me, that's not going to happen again. I never want that to happen again. I'm sad or upset that you're upset. I didn't mean for that house to fall down, all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start building us a house. Watch me, or I've already built this one. Don't worry, this one's stronger. And I'm going to say she and he, because obviously I spend my time working with men that are the betrayed. He starts asking her, hey, trust me, this next house is good. And she goes, I don't trust that. I don't think I ever want to live in that house again. Nothing that you build. It scares me to even think about getting in that house again with you. Don't want to do it. And then when she starts to consider, maybe I will, I do want to be with you, and maybe I will get in that house. She starts going through the process of going, I've got to trust this house won't fall down again. So he starts asking her, how do I know this house won't fall down? And he just goes, believe me, that last one was so scary of falling down. And I know how to build it better. And she starts asking him questions like, well, show me the blueprints. Show me how this house is stronger. And he goes, don't worry about it. I got it. Like, it just won't. So maybe he's not sharing the blueprints, or maybe he does. And she goes, you know what? I just need to test this thing out for myself. I've got to make sure that this house won't fall down. So what does she do? She grabs a sledgehammer and she walks into the house and she goes to the closest wall and she starts pounding in on the wall, just trying to break the wall down. And what's the purpose of doing this? She doesn't trust the blueprints. She wants to see for herself whether it can fall down or not. So she's got the sledgehammer. And what does he think? He goes, are you kidding me? Like, why are you tearing down something that I'm working really hard to build? I'm working so hard. Can't you see that I've been working hard? And so he feels absolutely terrified as she grabs the sledgehammer and goes at it. I don't know if you're already drawing the conclusion, the comparison of the analogy, but what her grabbing the sledgehammer represents is so many things of her asking detailed questions about like, hey, what's happened in the past? What really happened there? Okay, what are you doing now? What does that look like? What kind of relationships do you have right now with people? How do you interact with them? You know, How are you going to keep from acting out again? What do you do right now? Hey, I'm uncomfortable with that. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Hey, I think it would be a really good idea to get this type of support. Comparing that to house, maybe she's recommending what type of materials to build the new house out of, even though she doesn't really want to recommend anything, but she doesn't want a house falling down on her again. Just want to recognize the two different experiences that are being had. One, it makes all the sense in the world why she does just not trust and go, hey, there's a new house. I know he doesn't like the blast when it fell down. I'm just going to trust him, and that's okay. That would be so unwise, right? That would be so unwise for her to just blindly trust. I tell the men that I work with, what do we do when she grabs a sledgehammer, what it feels like to go knock down a wall to see if it'll stand, if it'll stay strong? What do we do? And I've noticed the men in recovery that are rocking their recovery and doing it, they don't question their partner and they don't go, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should give me a suggestion. I know how to do it. Or I don't want you to ask me a question because that doesn't apply, or that's not me. They give her the sledgehammer and they say, go ahead, test it. And these men that are in recovery, it's not that they're looking forward to their partner grabbing a sledgehammer. They just understand from a regulated place the importance of her doing that. And they're not glad that she grabbed it. And then frankly, they're scared because they themselves, even the men that are doing it the right way, are nervous of what can be knocked down with a sledgehammer. Maybe there are weak spots. So I go, let's take this to the next level. Why don't you give her a sledgehammer and then maybe you tell her which wall you think is the weakest, the one that you were maybe a little bit concerned about that maybe does need to tear down. And I know what it feels like in the moment of, well, I feel like, and I know this can be the shame talking, but it can be a little bit of, I don't really want to tell her where it's the weakest because I don't really want to even acknowledge that myself. I need to just point out the good things, the strong things about the house. But remember trust being rebuilt to be something where it's not a proving to a person that you're safe. It's the awareness of where it's not as safe and a joint effort into being able to hear each person of what feels safe and what doesn't. Anyway, so now I think with the analogy, hopefully I didn't leave anything out. I can go to the part that floored me that this man said in one of the groups. And he said this part of, he said, yeah, it's this analogy's, I don't remember his exact words, just it hit him pretty strong. And he mentioned that I feel like she's not hitting the wall with the sledgehammer. She's hitting me. She's going to come after me. And I was like, that's profound because I get that. Because what's happened is like that identified our behavior, the wall, as us. Okay. When we do our partners coming at us, but that's not actually the case. If she thought we were the actual house, if she thought we were our behaviors, that wouldn't make sense for her to be here. But we can recognize our behavior as something that we're building and working on, and that it's okay that she does knock things down because it's actually not that she's coming after us. Now I recognize there can be a lot of emotion and pain around this analogy in so many ways. I don't even know what you're thinking as you hear this, or especially because half of our listeners are the betrayed partner, how this is impacting you. Hopefully if it's not helpful now, I invite you shut off the episode because it's triggering or hard. But just recognizing that our partners act, and this is trust. Okay, now let me make it to the way I started off this podcast. We learned in our family of origin what conflict was about. We learned how we viewed it. So if you had parents or caregivers and family members that, volatile in their anger, or you get the exact opposite, which is very suppressed, pushed down emotions, feelings that weren't shared, you would have come to learn and recognize that conflict is the enemy. But conflict isn't the enemy. Conflict is the doorway. It's the doorway to being able to see the other person. It's a doorway to intimacy. It's a doorway to be seen. It's a doorway to connection. And when we lean into that experience and we prop open that door and engage with that other person, it really, really matters to be able to build that, and especially that trust. So just recognizing what our patterns are. So the work that I would encourage that I recognized that I need to do is learn what was in my family of origin, learn how I viewed it. I came from a spot of definitely, I remember being so scared of conflict. I think I noticed that there were peacekeepers in my house and they held a certain role, and I was one of them. And that was my job, was to keep the peace. And so that means I couldn't learn certain things about conflict and how it was going to be helpful. So let's just recognize that the default view of conflict is that it's going to trigger something in us that we have got and we've had for a long time, which is how we respond to it. So we could respond with fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Okay. So in addiction recovery or compulsive behavior recovery, conflict feels like it's threatening. So it stirs some stuff inside of us. There's some messages that we hear from ourselves, from our parts, which says, if there's conflict, that means I'm failing. That means I'm in trouble. That means I'm being rejected. And those responses are going to leave us doing a few different things. They're going to leave us avoiding, exploding, people pleasing. But we want to look at this new lens of conflict. Conflict, it's not a sign that a relationship's failing, but it's a natural result of two people that are stating needs, they have history together, and they have emotions that are interacting. So when we handle it well, conflict deepens that connection. We get a chance to clarify what our needs and expectations are. We get to expose some of those hidden wounds, the triggers that need healing, and we get to create opportunities for empathy and repair. So just notice there is a difference between destructive versus constructive conflict. So let's label here for a second what destructive conflict is, because there is that. Not all conflict is great. So think back to your family of origin. How was conflict handled in your home, right? But how you typically respond to conflict. So not handling conflict well or conflict now, that unhealthy is the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn modes, right? So if I am fighting, if I do experience flight, if I am freezing, or if I am fawning, that's how we avoid showing up in our authentic self. So that's the unhealthy ways to lean into conflict. Just my encouragement is inside of a group setting, I love what's coming up in our phase 2 groups. It's just so amazing to watch these men show up and bring their experiences, and it's leaving their partners out of it so they can keep their anonymity, but sharing of how to tackle and see things differently. It's pretty awesome. So whether you do that in a group setting or one-on-one setting, understand those patterns so you can disrupt them. Anyway, always value your feedback and your perspective after you listen to these podcasts. You can always drop us a line and saying, hey, spend some more time going into this. I'd like to know more about this, or this one impacted me in a negative or a positive way. Love to know what you're thinking and what you want to spending more time on. So anyway, please lean into conflict. It's on the other end is intimacy and connection. Take care. Men, the mask that you wear to protect yourself is the same mask that keeps you from truly connecting. So this September 16th through the 19th in Spanish Fork, Utah, join me and Gene Honeycutt for the Unmasked Men's Intensive. Over 4 powerful days, you're going to explore integrity, uncover the roots of your patterns, and step into true authenticity. Some of our past participants have called it life-changing, finally a safe space to be real, vulnerable, and understood. The spots are going to be limited, so if you're ready to drop the mask and begin living with courage and connection, go to chooserecoveryservices.com and register, or book some time for us to talk about this some more. Looking forward to having you be there.
What I'm going to talk about today is not for everybody. It's for those of you who are in a place where you have done a lot of work and you've done a lot of healing, and you're not really like heavily involved in the betrayal, trauma, and recovery world in the ways that you once were. And you are somebody who is goal-oriented and you want to heal and you want to move forward and you're ready to expand in the next areas of your life. And you have these pieces of you that have done so much healing and so much growing, yet there's still this other part of you that's like longing for more. There's this other part of you that is ready to really explore, like, what's next? Who am I? Where am I headed? What do I want? And really unlocking the woman within. Now, the reason I say that this is not for somebody who's new in recovery is because this intensive that we're doing, this Worthy by Design, is truly for a unique woman. It's for a woman who really is in tune with her emotions. She's self-reflective. She's looking into her soul. She believes in energy and healing and emotions and the value of those, but you're not sure how to step into that next level of your own growth, your own development. This is what Worthy by Design is for. And I will tell you, I am so excited for this intensive. It's not betrayal trauma focused. There will be women there who have gone through betrayal trauma and done their healing. And there'll be other women who have just grown and developed and are ready for this type of healing as well. And you're going to get to spend 3 nights and 4 days with me, myself, Hallie Roderick, who is one of our coaches, Kelly Johnson, who she partners with us here at Choose Recovery. She does what's called soul soma healing. And I don't know what other way to put it other than she has an absolute gift for touching into people's emotions and helping them release, but also educating and learning and teaching. And so I am so excited to partner with her. And then we also have Kelsey Red, who is a former therapist. She is a yoga certified instructor, and she is amazing. If this is speaking to your soul, if you feel that calling, it's going to be soul healing. The location we're doing it at is a beautiful, huge home that we have rented that has a private property with a pond and a heated pool and a walking path. It's tucked up in the mountains. And so you are going to get time for relaxation, time for yourself, time for connection, time for growth and healing. It is going to be truly unique. This is the only one of these intensives that we are doing. So this is not one of like, oh, I hope I can catch it next time. This is the one that we are doing. So again, if you are feeling called to this, if you are interested in it, reach out for more information. You can always jump in and do a free consult with Hallie and learn more about it. If you hear this and you think that is exactly what I want, I need this, and I'm not sure how I'm going to pay for it, Choose Recovery Services for all of our intensives does offer scholarship opportunities. So you can always put in an application and see if that's something that you could get some financial support to do that as well. So I would love to see you at Worthy by Design. If this applies to you, you especially are worthy by design, and it will help you learn how to really tap into that.
Hi, this is Hallie Roderick, and I want to personally invite you to join me and our team for the upcoming Courage to Thrive Intensive happening October 14th through the 17th in beautiful Spanish Fork, Utah. This 4-day experience is designed specifically for women who have experienced betrayal and are ready to take the next courageous steps on their healing journey. Whether you're just beginning to process the pain or you've been navigating this journey for years, this intensive will give you practical tools, supportive guidance, and somatic practices to help you reconnect with your body, set healthy boundaries, and reclaim control over your life. By the end of our time together, you'll leave with a renewed sense of hope, strength, and purpose, ready to step forward with courage and confidence, knowing betrayal no longer defines your life. If you feel called to take this next step, please check the show notes for all the details. I would love to welcome you to this upcoming transformative experience.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If this is something that you connected with, I'd love to meet with you more and talk about it. So what you can do is go to chooserecoveryservices.com or check the show notes. And there what we can do is set up a quick conversation to meet. Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Facade, where we unmask the authentic self.